This is spoiler chat for The Creator. If you have not seen The Creator and you want to stay spoiler free, then you should not listen or watch this. You should do something else and come back to it after you've seen the movie. Or maybe you don't care about spoilers, or you've seen the film and you just want to hear people talk about it. Then listen on. What do we need to spoil about The Creator?
Well, let's talk about the bombing of LA.
Yes.
The what?
The nuking of LA.
Okay. Give
So
us some
in the
background for people who haven't seen the movie.
Sure. So in the film, it pretty much starts with the AI robots have randomly detonated a nuclear bomb in the middle of LA, killed 1 million people.
Mhm.
And because of that, the entire Western world has banned AI and destroyed them. But New Asia hasn't banned AI. And so it's kind of like the Western world versus the Eastern world.
Yep.
And the whole movie is about the Americans trying to take out the like the central figure of the AI movement or whatever in New Asia. The American side explained the bombing of LA as an act of aggression, like a surprise attack, basically. And that's why they're so dangerous that we need to ban AI.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're not given an explanation beyond that until kind of randomly towards the end of the film, one of the robots says the bombing of AI wasn't our fault. It was a human coding error.
Right. Yeah. Ken Watanabe's character said that.
Right. And personally, I think that makes no sense.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say a couple things. One, let's say it was a human coding error, right?
Mhm.
I still think America was justified in what they were doing in like getting rid of AI because even if it was a mistake, if mistakes of that like nature are possible, then it's too dangerous to risk it, right? How do you know you don't have more coding errors that will accidentally kill millions of more people?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And so like, even if it was like our mistake, it doesn't matter whose mistake it was. If you wouldn't have something that's capable of killing millions of people on a mistake.
So, okay. So he was saying that like AI detonated the bomb, but because the humans coded us to do it incorrectly. Is that how you interpret the explanation?
That is how I interpret
okay.
it, which is my second problem.
Okay.
My second issue is the whole point of the AI's perspective is that they have agency, right? They're not just programming. They're not mindless robots. They are like sentient beings that deserve to have civil rights. But if the human coding of them is so influential over their own agency that they can't help but kill 1 million people, then they don't have agency. They are just programming and robots, right? Like either they have to do what the programming tells them to do, and that's why they bombed it because they didn't have control, or they have personal agency in which they wouldn't have bombed LA. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Like this movie didn't want to go the Terminator route where like Skynet turned on us. Right. This movie, it wanted it both ways.
Yeah. It had them say, this was not our fault. We're being falsely accused of something.
Mhm.
We're just fighting for our lives here. And as soon as you end the war, we'll be at peace. But I don't understand how the bomb went off then.
Yeah, it's. I agree. The movie explanation to me seemed like someone just put the wrong code in and it detonated a bomb. They didn't really go into like how the AI was involved into it. And I agree, it doesn't make sense once you hear that explanation of it's a coding error. Because then, are they artificial intelligence anymore? Or are they just virtual intelligence? Yeah.
If they're just following programming, then they really are just off. They're not dead, when they die.
I mean, they are even the ones that are sentient, they're just following programming, right?
I mean, well, you can say that we're just following programming, and our programming is to learn and to grow. Like,
sure.
The question is, what is programming?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Is a deer just following programming of fight or flight? Like,
I think the idea is that once they get consciousness and sentience, then they also have agency and free will.
Yeah.
So they don't have to strictly go off of programming or instinct, but they're able to choose against their programming.
Okay. I don't think that movie made arguments one way or the other, as far as
Of
that's
what?
concerned. Whether they could override programming or not.
Do you think the movie made the argument that they had they deserved rights because they were as much persons as a human?
I think so, because there was one line at some point in the movie where, someone said, "Oh, their circuit brain is no different than our human brain. Like the number of the number of electrical connections. Like our brain is a circuit just in organic form." It was essentially it was one of those throwaway lines, and I think I thought that was an interesting idea the movie was presenting, which it did not run with. But yes, I think the movie was presenting the idea of that they're no different than humans because how our brains work, be it organic or circuit-wise, is the same.
I think the movie was definitely in roundabout ways making these arguments, but it wasn't trying to make the plot of the movie about that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It was, but not like as directly as probably I would have liked.
For sure. Yeah. But I mean, the climax of the movie is like they're going to win their independence or win their right to live,
Yes.
Mhm.
Which, okay, so I want to talk about Nomad a little bit.
Yeah.
So like their way of winning the war was to destroy Nomad, which is a weapon, but that's not going to change the Western world's ideas, right? If anything, destroying Nomad is going to make the Western world say, "Look how big of a threat they are. We have to go even harder on these AI."
Mhm.
And also, I was just curious to know, like, how did Nomad seem to operate like without impunity in New Asia? Because at the beginning of the movie, there was like a colonel or general in a flashback who said, like, "We are not at war with New Asia. We're at war with the AI." Right? However, this Nomad thing is in New Asia. It is flying over what I'm guessing is sovereign space, or sovereign territory. And I don't think it's killing just AI. It's probably killing residents and humans too.
For sure.
So like I was just watching this. I'm like, how is New Asia not saying, like, you can't just fly your death machine over our country and kill whoever you want?
New Asia is definitely saying that, but
Okay.
there's nothing they can do about it because they don't have a
about it.
Nomad.
Okay. So that was some of like the world building I was more curious about of, like how can this, I mean, North American, Western, whatever you want to call it, fortress just sort of act however it wants to anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
Sure.
They're just acting with impunity.
They definitely say Americans. There's like a pretty strong like Americans are vengeful streak.
Oh, yeah.
In this movie, I would say.
They showed what Nomad stood for at one point, and it's like North American Outer Missile something. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. So I don't know. I just thought that was a little fascinating.
So my headcanon for the movie that I think makes it a much more interesting movie, and I totally believe this given the facts of the film, is that the AI is lying to the main character, David Washington.
How so?
You mean the child is lying?
Yeah, we haven't talked about the child at all.
Yeah, the child and Ken Watanabe and everything. When he says like the bombing of LA was a mistake by the humans or something like that, I think that he's lying to him.
Okay.
I think that's propaganda. Because honestly, he just says that, and let's say he was like evil or trying to destroy humanity or something like that. Like, of course, that's something he would say, right? And it totally worked. It convinced the guy to help them, and he absolutely helped them destroy Nomad. And now what's going to stop them from taking over? There's no reason to believe that they're benevolent in any way.
Especially if they see how the Western world reacts to them. Are they just going to say, okay, war's over, all's forgiven? Or are they going to say, no, if we want to survive, it's like the Neanderthal comparison they made earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
Like we have to take over.
That would certainly be a twist, but that is not what the movie has set up from a tone perspective.
No,
they make the
movie
Americans be the ones that are overreacting and the vengeful, attackers, and the AI is definitely the one on their heels, the one that's that the Americans are trying to eliminate. So that would be, they'd be twisting the entire tone of the film.
No, I totally agree. That is not what the movie wanted to sell. The movie wants what my friend said. We love an underdog story so much that it doesn't matter if we're the bad guys in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just want to root for an underdog.
Sure. My biggest issue with the movie was just like things that seemed, I don't know if this would be more interesting, but at one point I was thinking, oh, the kid is like the first robot mixed with human DNA or something like that.
And the
or
first
like grown
child
from a
AI.
baby.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
One that will age over time. Now, I vaguely feel like maybe they said that, but
he's going to grow up and age.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. So does that happen with all AI?
No, he's the first of his kind.
He's the first one. So that's another thing that bothered me is he's the first of his kind.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie kept bringing me back to Children of Men just because I saw the parallels. Remember in Children of Men, there's like that final battle. It's one of those 11-minute shots. It's in the slums. Mm-hmm. And it's this chaotic battle, and all of a sudden the baby starts crying, and everyone just stops fighting because no one's seen a baby in like 20 years. I was thinking there would be a moment similar to that of like AI and humans seeing like, oh, this is an AI child, like which is no one has ever seen in the world before, and what does that mean? And like people are just like, oh yeah, that's Alfie right there. Like robots would meet, or AI whatever would meet Alfie for the first time and just be like, oh, okay, cool. That's the weapon. And
sure.
No one just seemed to like understand the gravity of the fact that this is a grown AI building. Like this is maybe the next step in evolution past just robots. Like how do we bridge organic and mechanic into one thing?
Yeah. Here's some more of the things that I think just make no sense if you think about it for more than a second. So he marries this woman named Maya.
Maya, yes.
And she just happens to be Naimata, the creator, right? So
she's Naimata's daughter. Like I think
right, but when he dies, she becomes Naimata.
Yes, correct. But like it's not coincidence that he marries her. Like he knows that that's Naimata's daughter.
But it's coincidence that she sure. But
okay. Keep going with your point. Yeah, sorry.
he marries Naimata, who is this like genius AI scientist, right? They get married and pregnant. First of all, I have no idea why she is so cavalier with her security to like marry an American who just happens to be special forces that are like hunting Naimata. I just think that she would take a little bit more caution in vetting people.
But she thinks he's ex-special forces. She even said, I thought you were out.
Right, but they're at war with America.
I know.
And, he just happens to be this American. Anyways.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
They get pregnant, and her plan is she clones the fetus without telling him and is growing it and making this like simulant fetus like at the same time. And then what's the plan? Like it's going to be born, and then she's going to raise it along with her human child as like twins, and like then she'll tell him. Like at what point is she going to tell him that she's growing this other baby?
And at what point did she decide to make it a weapon that had like essentially telekinetic EMP powers? Like it never quite explained its powers.
And she's so genius that not only can she create the first ever like growing fetus robot, but she can also imbue it with the ability to control all technology. Those are like separate innovations.
Right. Yeah.
And she can do both of those secretly in her lab without her husband noticing she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When his whole role there is to like keep secret tabs on her.
But he's got the wedding ring on her. How can he lose track of her?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there are multiple times when characters just did things which I thought were so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like when that first raid and he tells Maya, hey, go upstairs. And then he gets on the phone and like calls the people calling the raid and be like, what are you guys doing? I'm undercover right now. And like, why would? And then of course she happens to hear that. I just can't imagine any conversation going down like that, where the person undercover like calls the raiding army and says, you guys gotta stop, I'm undercover right now.
They should really invest in some code words.
Exactly. Or I think if you are undercover and a raid happens, you gotta kind of play along until you're in your own private room, and then you can like talk it out with people.
Yeah. And then you described Nomad as suborbital, but didn't he like turn off the power? Like, why is it still floating?
No, it crashed to the ground.
No, but like before it crashed to the ground, like when it, like,
stay where it's at.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, because okay, so maybe. How low can you be to
The
be
exosphere.
Yeah, like it's. I'm guessing it's wherever Starlink is. Like Starlink is at, or maybe it's in a low orbit. Maybe not suborbital is the right word. Maybe it's a low orbit.
It just seems so much. Didn't it seem like, 3,000 feet off the ground?
It was really hard to tell how far away it was, because from the ground it looked not that far away, and then you're on the thing and it seems like you're on that Kramer line.
Carmen
line. Thank you, Carmen line. Yeah. There's a moment where they're on the. Remember that like there's a bridge between the AI. Whatever the AI who are defending themselves, and then like where Allison Janney and her group is, and she says one of those running robots, like the bomb robots, which at one point did one of the like bomb robots seem to refuse to like want to do its mission. It seemed like it was scared, like it didn't want to do it, and then they said something and it actually did it. But I don't know if that was.
I thought it was happy to do it.
I maybe I just missed the situation. I couldn't tell.
Well, she like deactivated it.
The girl did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, so the girl like Alfie deactivates this robot. Everyone's like, this is the first time people are seeing her powers in the real world. And then Allison Janney says to like her right hand man, "Hey, go get that kid." So she sends like one guy across a bridge when there's 12 people with guns on the other end of it. And that's what that one of those moments where I was like, no, like you send your entire force over to like go get this weapon. You don't just send one guy to, I don't know. There were so many of these moments of just stupid decisions to either move the story along or to like make the movie look cool that just pulled me out of it or seemed silly. The final one that stood out to me when Allison Janney was like, she calls John David Washington after the raid goes wrong, and she's like hacked into a telephone pole or something like in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then like she gets arrested immediately. And I was like, really? Like, why? Like you're supposed to be this incredible, like special forces leader, and your plan is to hack a telephone pole in the middle of the enemy. I don't know. So those moments kept happening and just kept pulling me out of what could have been a really interesting movie.
I thought it was interesting, her hacking a normal looking telephone pole. I mean, if she hadn't gotten immediately captured, you wouldn't have had a second thought about that. I bet.
I guess so.
I think that's what kept it realistic to me.
That she got.
I like them being able to download the last thoughts of someone and then implant them in someone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool.
But that was another moment where it seemed like they were trying to. I thought they were going the direction like after Maya had died,
mm-hmm.
and then they downloaded the thoughts, and Alfie has it. Then Alfie goes to like one of the Maya robots to try and like upload, essentially her mother back into it. I'm like, oh, this can be a nice conclusion. Like, Alfie gets her mother, gets to live. If it's not her mother, it's whatever. It's a robot version. But then like she gets impatient that it's not working fast enough, so she runs away. Just so we get this nice moment at the end of like John David Washington embracing his wife as they both die. Like again, it's the Rogue One ending, but it's not one of those things where it just seemed like Gareth Edwards had these cool ideas, but didn't know how to get there. So he just said, then she'll do this and run away, and then whatever.
Why did Nomad have a Maya robot on it?
Well, there was lots of Maya robots.
That's what I thought too.
I didn't understand that either.
And I thought those were all just robots for examination. Like I maybe they were captured by Nomad for studying? Because like weren't there a whole bunch of them covered in sheets or something in some room?
Mm-hmm.
That just seemed like a preservation thing to me.
Okay,
They're brand new and haven't been opened yet.
But why would Nomad have those in the first place?
That's a great question.
They're anti-AI.
Yeah, but they clearly use AI anyways. Like with those running robots, like I think they secretly have AI
Yeah.
as weapons.
See, that would have been like a cool reveal, like Allison Janney is AI. Or something like that. I don't know. Like they could have done something.
Allison Janney's kids, she said one of them like died because she was tricked by AI and then they like cut off his face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Why did the AI cut off his face?
To where that face is.
Yeah, but
it's
they
a real
don't need
face-off situation.
But they don't have to take faces to
I
do that
know.
because people donate their likeness, right?
Yeah.
So they don't need actual faces. People donate them. So I didn't understand that. Anyone have an explanation for that?
I don't remember that moment. I remember her talking about her kids joining the war because she was in the war.
Yes, it was in that moment that she
Yeah.
said that her surgeon friends went at him or something.
Oh, that's oh yeah. Yeah, that's weird because we didn't see the AI acting with malice very often.
Yeah. It just didn't make sense because they fabricate the faces.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Anyways, there's just a lot of these things that like they put in these lines that sound cool, but the second you think about them, they don't connect.
Yeah. Agree.
Gareth Edwards also gave a list of movies that this movie was inspired by. Why don't I read some off to you and you tell me if you see the inspiration in this movie?
Please.
Apocalypse Now.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess so.
What, like the jungle war scene type stuff?
I think he was thinking more of like, oh, this is a guy going like deep into the heart of darkness to go on a mission, but it felt like a pretty normal mission.
Sure.
You know.
Baraka.
Oh, the documentary?
I don't see Baraka here.
Not really. No.
I think maybe some of like the Buddhist temples and stuff like that. I could see some visual.
Maybe they didn't have any
parallel.
rituals or anything going on.
That's true.
I did think it was interesting to see some of the AI wearing like Buddhist robes, like monk
Mhm.
robes.
Yeah.
And like do they have religion? That's interesting.
They did
Sure.
because did you see the robot statues they had in the temple?
Oh yeah, they did. That's right. Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, this movie, like even the straight robots had human bodies, and we've learned that's because they were human and they just
Right.
skinned the head. But that's interesting that like a Star Wars movie literally just has a robot. You know, they never put them in human clothes for the most part.
Yeah.
Blade Runner seemed obvious.
Oh yeah, especially like when they're in some of the cities.
Akira. Anybody remember enough about Akira?
It's been
No.
I've not seen Akira in a long time.
Right.
I mean, again,
Same
maybe
here.
some of the city design was in Akira was inspired by Akira, but I feel like Akira was also inspired by Blade Runner. I feel like a lot of sci-fi dystopian movies are inspired by Blade Runner, so it's hard to
Mhm.
say which one exactly
Rain Man.
because it's a travel movie.
I don't know.
Because Alfie counts all the matchsticks when they fall out at some point.
I don't know. That was just
Okay.
on the list of movies that inspired this one. The Hit from
I've never
1984. I've never even
seen
heard of
The
it.
Hit. Never heard of it.
The Hit is a British road crime film starring Tim Roth, which is, I want to watch this. Seems fun. What is the Rotten Tomatoes for? 89% on Rotten Tomatoes for The Hit. Hard to trust though. It's a pre-Rotten Tomatoes movie. Then we've got E.T., the Extraterrestrial.
I don't know.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
And
No.
finally, Paper Moon. Maybe because the father
No.
and daughter
The
are
father
running
daughter
around.
thing. Yeah.
This kid has so much less personality. Can I tell you a pet peeve of mine?
Sure.
Please.
And part of it's just me, but also this joke has been beaten to death. It's been way overused. Having kids swear in movies,
Mhm.
like
That happens
for a
in this?
joke. Yeah, it happens twice in this.
I don't remember it.
Oh yeah, it's the kid is like repeating just something that John David Washington said.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
we're gonna play a game called "Let's Kill the F and Whatever," and it's like the
Yeah.
kid's using the word without knowing its context.
But it seems like such a 90s joke that like it's just I don't know. It's a pet peeve of mine that it keeps happening in movies.
The other interesting fact I just learned about this is that it was originally titled True Love.
Oh
No, that's
no,
so bad.
that's not a
Which
good.
doesn't- Which also doesn't make sense, and I'm glad they changed it.
Like, I got an idea. We're gonna call it True Romance. Like, it's been
Although I'm not sure the creator is a great title either.
no, it's not, because there's not much of the creator in this movie. There's not some search for the. I mean, there is a search for the creator, but spoiler alert, that goes nowhere.
Yeah,
Right.
it should have been called Alpha.
Or Alfie.
Alfie. There's already
Yeah.
movies named Alfie, right?
What about Alpha O?
Yeah, Alpha O.
Alpha O. Yeah.
Yeah, the Alfie, the movie is like that, about kind of like the drunk British guy. Remember that?
Oh, then they remade that with Jude Law, didn't they?
Right.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Alpha O. Good title.
All right. Anything else spoiler wise about the creator?
No.
We got it all out. Anybody changing their letterboxd ranking? 3 and 2 3.5s.
No, I feel good about it.
I'm good where I am.
Same here. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, goodbye.